Help, I'm in gameception! Oh! Hey everybody! I'm going to be playing Choice of Broadsides. Marauder Shields recommended it. Thank you, sir. I don't know anything about this game. I don't know anything about life, so why the fuck why don't I... Ah! Let's just do it. Fire the starboard broadside! Shouts the captain. Cannons roar as the H.M.S. courageous attacks the enemy frigate. As one of the junior officers, really more of an officer in training, he's wearing a training bra. His boobs need training. I don't know what happens if they're not trained. Maybe they shoot milk all the wrong way. Oh no, it's a milkgasm. You command 3 guns on the Courageous's main deck. The guns on the batteries next to yours fire, leaping back against the heavy ropes that prevent them from smashing across the ship. Clouds of white smoke billow about you as you give your gun crew the commands to ready your cannon's batteries. Swab, powder, Wadding, shot! Run out the guns! That's demanding a lot of them, isn't it? That's like pretty fast that you want them to do everything at once. The captain yells out, fire! It's the guns bear! There's a gun bear? I want to see a bear that loads the guns. That's pretty fucking cool. You give your gun crews orders to load and fire as quickly as they can without waiting for the rest of the broadside. They swab out the bore, push in the charge of powder. Oh, push it in good. Oh, push wadding down the powder. That's what I do before I'm gonna have sex. I put some wadding in there. Oh! Load the shot. Push the gun out through the gun port and fire the cannon. With you commanding each step of the process. Swab, powder, shoot, Wadding, shot, fire. Swab, powder, Wadding, shot. I got confused, you can see. The world turns upside down as the enemy's broadside rips through the hull some 10 feet away. That can't be good for the courageous. As the enemy cannonball tears through the side of the ship, giant splinters of wood fly through the air. One of the splinters, perhaps a yard long, rips through the stomach of Davies. Davies, no! I loved you! Not really. I never could remember his birthday. A sailor under your command. A fragment of the cannonball smashes Fisher's arm. Fuck you, Fisher. Mangling it horribly. Your sailor seems stunned by the carnage. Standing in shock while Davies and Fisher scream in agony. What do you do? I've got to make a game time decision. That's what I gotta do. With a gut wound like that, Davies is done for. But Fisher can be saved. I order some sailors to take Fisher to the cockpit, but leave Davies on deck to die. I need the extra sailors to use the guns effectively. I think that's the right call. I have my duty to do. If we're too worried about saving people, we're not gonna be able to man the guns, and we might all die. That is my executive decision. Sorry, Davies. Jones! You shout as the master's mate under your command looks at you expectantly. Take a team of sailors to get Fisher to the surgeon. Davies? No, Davies is as good as dead. He's like, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm getting better. No, you are dead. Really, it's not that bad. You are dead. To me. Take Fisher now. Take him now, baby. Jones swallows hard. I didn't mean like that. Clearly troubled, but obeys your command. Your gun crew leaps into action. Leap! And carries Fisher away. Davies continues to scream for most of the rest of the battle before finally slumping into consciousness. I told you, Davies, you fucking quitter. You're a fucking quitter. Dying on me, but you do your best to put them out of your mind and focus on the battle. We should take a moment here to establish a few important facts about you. Oh, me? I'm glad I'm the center of this. In this game, you take the role of a young officer in the Royal Navy of Albion, an imaginary nation rather like England. That's not true! England is a real nation! I used to think it was imaginary, but then I made a friend from it, and I'm like, you are real! Is Harry Potter nice? And she was like, go fuck yourself, and I'm like, I love doing that! I'm doing it right now! Fighting battles at sea with Gaul in the time of the Napoleonic Wars. But you're not just any young officer. Ooh, scandalous. Nobody knows it yet, but you're going to be one of the most famous officers in all of Albion. The Naval Chronicle will publish stories about you. Sailors will tell tall tales of your adventure. Once he had a dick that was 8 miles long. And we climbed on it to safety. And he was like, no, don't climb so vigorously. Oh! One day, if you're lucky, people will write histories about you. What makes you so notable? My fucking leadership, eh? Hell yeah. An officer's most important duty is to rock that booty. Oh, it's maintaining discipline and keeping the crew inspired. Even in the face of death and destruction, your leadership will serve you well. What's your second most notable quality as an officer? I want to say my combat ability. I'm good at commanding the guns of the ship, and I'm good with a pistol and my motherfucking sword. This is a rifle, this is my gun, this is for fight, and this is for fun. As an officer, you are first and foremost a warrior defending Albion with your battle skill. That's my ninja attack. Whatever, it's kind of weak. That tells us what you're good at, but you can't be perfect. What's your greatest weakness as an officer? I am without a friend or relation anywhere in the upper ranks of the Royal Navy. I have a singular lack of patronage. I picked that one because that's like me in real life. I got no fucking connections. When I did stuff with Hollywood and TV stuff, it was just because I worked harder than anybody else. Because trust me, I come from a proud line of dirt farmers. It's easy to grow dirt. You will always have to be. I can't read. All these years of Let's Playing, it comes out, I can't read. I just make noises and pretend I know what's going on, and I have no clue. What, huh? Where am I? I'm getting old. It just happened like that. Do you lead by knowing the correct action or by reading people around you? Like a book, I try and open them up. Oh, there's guts in here. Better close that one. Do you sail based on knowledge of technique and expertise or through an able reliance on your sailors? In short, would you say you are characterized more by your intelligence or your ability to make people like you? I have a little of each. I can be intelligent when I want, and I'm very likable. Don't you like me? I need you to, please. Remember, you do better as an officer if you avoid situations that strain your weaknesses and produce strategies that plan to your strengths. Play your strengths. Fuck you! Fuck you, game! I don't believe in thinking. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said intelligence. Thinking is for foreigners. I'm an American! Even though I'm in fictional England. Can I have my fictional tea? Oh, it's tea time! Oh, it's pee time afterwards! This game is set in the fictional world, similar to our own, but with some differences. For example, perhaps the ships are crewed by women. What? Women? No! Can I touch them in their genitals? Oh, that'd probably be wrong, but in a right way. You are a young and gallant officer. No, more middle-aged. But, are you a young gentleman or a young lady? I'm a gentleman! I got fucking balls! Cannonballs in my pants, son! Fucking A. Of course, the officers and crew of the Royal Navy, ship are all men. That's what I'm talking about. It would be nice to have some women on here, though. This is a sausage fest. You are about 19 years old. When did you first go to sea as a midshipman? 3. I was motherfucking hardcore. Mommy and Daddy, I'm a toddler. I'm going to sea for England. They're like, oh, what a loser. Took him till 3. Oh, you were so hard on me, Mommy and Daddy. Goodbye. I understand that you added to a ship's complement officially when you were at 3, so you started crewing seniority. When did you actually go to sea? 3. No, I was a toddler and I crawled on the ship. So you spent your years as a ship's boy and a powder monkey. Ooh! That was my monkey noise. Apparently I've never seen a monkey before. Before you could really serve as a midshipman. Your manners are less polished as a route. I'm like, hey, boobs and vaginas! They're like, oh, ditto the queen. But you have much more seniority than many of your fellows. They joined when they were 5, and you have more experience at sailing tasks. We'll need to know your last name. Should it be Smithy, Baker, Brown? Well, I used to be a baker once upon a time, so let's pick Baker. A very respectable name in the light of your class, of course. What are you saying? I am very high class. I put the ass in class, sir. What is my name? My name is going to be Richard, or Dick. Dick Baker. Oh, delightful. So let's look at my skills. I don't care. Oh, I should write that down. I'm probably good at fighting. Oh, the rest means I gotta read. Whatever. Fuck it, we're going in. I dropped my pencil. It's on the ground. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back to the battle. You've dealt with the injured in a fashion. Now you need to keep firing your guns. But in the midst of all the excitement, what is the next step? Oh, I wasn't paying attention earlier. Fuck the butt. Well, once upon a time... Okay, we've already shot, right? So the next would be you gotta swab the bore. The reason you gotta swab the bore is you gotta make sure there are no embers in there, because if there are, when you put the powder in, it's gonna go off and it's gonna fuck up the powder monkey or whatever. So we're gonna swab the bore. Swab the bore! You shout to the men under your command, lift the sponge plunger, and smash it down the gun's muzzle to extinguish any stray sparks that might cause the powder to ignite prematurely. I used to be a Civil War reenactor, so... Your gun crew quickly rams the powder in, places the wadding on the powder, loads the shot, and runs the gun out. See, if I did it in the wrong order, it probably would have killed somebody. You give the word, and the senior rating touches the fuse to the touch hole. Oh, I like lady touch holes. You flinch unconsciously. Oh, it's a loud noise! I'm English, I can't handle that! Wait, I'm American! I can totally fucking handle it! Against the unexpected explosion, but nothing happens. You wait a moment and realize what happened. The powder was already in the bore when you swabbed. I thought we already shot! I thought it was the barrel. Ah! Fuck balls! Because the powder got wet, the gun could not fire. It's embarrassing, but it could have been much, much worse. You give orders for your men to insert the screw and clear the load. Oh, sometimes I clear my load from the gun manually. I do it manually, too. After a delay of a few minutes, you're able to return the gun to service. The lieutenant commanding the broadside noticed, however, and your patronage suffers slightly. Fuck him! Fuck that officer! I'm an NCO, man! Enlisted for life! Fuck the ring knockers! The battle rages on, but finally the gaulish ship hauls down at colors of surrender Jack as they're scared of my giant pants cannon. In the aftermath of the battle, a young midshipman runs up to you. Oh, Captain's compliments, sir! He asks you to report to the quarterdeck. When you get to the quarterdeck, the captain looks over you. Mr. Baker, I'm rating you as an acting lieutenant. Take a section of 20 men across to the prize and assume command. Make any necessary repairs and set sail for any English port. Aye, aye, sir. Thank you, you fuckface. You quickly gather your men and head across to your first command. Loading. As you prepare to leave Courageous, you run into Mr. Bryce, the second lieutenant. Well, acting Lieutenant Baker, he says, grinning widely and slapping you on the back. That's a no place to touch me, Lieutenant. Mr. Bryce, whatever your name is. I know you do smashingly the first command. I have the utmost confidence in you. Thank you, sir, you reply, touching your hat and salute. Just at that moment, First Lieutenant Pigot rounds to the corner. Oh, Mr. Baker, he remarks somewhat stiffly. Fine piece of luck you had there. Pigot, with over 25 years' experience, is by far the most senior lieutenant on board, perhaps in the entire fleet, but it's not to his credit. He's too incompetent to earn a promotion to commander. He's watched countless younger, more competent lieutenants pass him by, while he racks up years of valuable experience. All he has to show for it is the power to boss the other lieutenants around imperiously. He rarely misses an opportunity. Lucky's not been with us one bit, I say, Bryce counters cheerfully. Yeah, whatever. Well, go on then. Don't want to keep the prize waiting. Aye, sir. Whatever. Fuck yourselves. In your buttocks. You make your way across to the prize with a detachment of 20 men. You are the only officer, but you have Jones, a master's mate, with you as your second in command. The Gaulish ship is a 36-gun frigate. Well done. It's gotta be damaged from the fighting, though. A square-rigged, 3-mast ship with an ordinary crew complement of some 250 men. Our 20... What? Are like 250 prisoners and we have 20 men to guard them all? Because that ain't good. Your detachment of 20 will be sufficient to sail the prize, of course. Warships carry much larger crews and similarly sized merchant ships because of the need to staff the broadside, as well as to have men available. Ooh, available men, ladies are gonna like that. For detached duties such as prize crews. I want surprises. And of course, the larger crew size allows for a substantial number of casualties before the ship is incapacitated. The long and short of it is that you can fairly easily sail the frigate, but your prisoners outnumber you roughly 10 to 1. Even taking into account the substantial losses they took before striking their colors, as you arrive, you quickly send some of your men to bring the prisoners below and lock them in the hold, where they will spend the rest of the voyage. Have fun down there. A Gaulish officer, no more than a few years older than yourself, approaches you and offers his sword to surrender. He addresses you in Gaulish. His words sound like so much foreign gibberish. You were never very good with languages and never really had the opportunity to learn Gaulish, even if you wanted to. I can't speak your language, fuckface, you say to the enemy officer. Oh, I see, he responds in Albanish. I speak your language, little sir. Pardon my misunderstandings. Yeah, whatever. Continue. I'm Lieutenant Villeneuve of the Gaulish Republican Navy. In battle, high lieutenants were killed, and the captain wounded. I'm now the highest active officer of the ship. I am acting Lieutenant Richard Dick Baker of the H.M.S. Courageous. I've been placed in command of this prize. It's mine now, Dick Bag. A slight flash of resentment crosses his face as he uses the word prize, but he quickly suppresses it. Yes, I'll offer you. I did not the right word in my language. My penis, no, my parole. My word that I will not seek escape. Escape for what? You gonna swim from here to England? Go for it, buddy. But I nod. You use the word parole very well. And your word of honor as a gentleman, you mean? Yeah, you got that. Do you accept his parole? Oh, damn it. You know what? Of course I will. He's a gentleman and would never think of breaking his word. I'm gonna accept your parole. Of course I accept your parole. You hand his sword back to him, producing a grateful smile. I trust you will join me in the captain's cabin for dinner? With pleasure, sir. Thank you. Jones approached you a short while later. Oh, what was Jones's voice? So that's it then, sir? I know that's the captain's voice. I changed it. The bloody Gaul spends hours trying to kill us. Does kill a lot of good men, then after battle it's all nicey nice? There's a lot... He murdered Davies! I mean, we're not supposed to care about that after the battle? How do I respond? Jones is a master mate. You know, I'm gonna explain myself to Jones. I was recently enlisted. I have respect for enlisted people. I'm gonna explain myself. Look, Jones, I understand it hurts, you know, maybe you're friends with JVs, maybe you weren't. I don't give a fuck about them, but we all lost friends today. And there are rules about how wars are fought. You know, you may not like the rules, but we still gotta follow them. War's a terrible thing, but without those rules, it'd be even worse. Imagine not having rules. You know, in this thing where we're just trying to murder each other because we disagree, we gotta have some rules in murder. Don't you understand? Yes, sir, yes, sir. Although Jones doesn't seem to understand. But why should we trust their officers but not their men? Because I know what Lieutenant Villeneuve has been taught for years, that nothing is more important than his honor. He would rather die than break his parole. If you say so, sir. A few days later, Lieutenant Villeneuve comes to you with a question. Sir, he inquires, may we have some medicine, supplies? One of our crew's broken a bone badly and may die. Yeah, here's some medical supplies. Shut the fuck up. Thank you, sir. Thank you. The next several days pass smoothly. You get used to the routine of the passing watches, even with the new experience of commanding the prize ship. The process of trimming the sails, taking your bearings, and setting the course is nerve-wracking. Oh, I can't set the course! Where's my Garmin? Never before have your decisions been the final word, leading a ship either on a safe and direct course to your destination or towards disaster. But the weather is blessedly easy and with a steady breeze but clear skies, and you go through the process relying on your training and your experience. On the 5th day, Jones comes to you with a disturbing piece of news. Sir, I found something below the deck I need to bring to your attention, sir. What is it, Jones? We're taking water in the hold. We missed a hole at first because it's beneath the waterline. Sure enough, he's right. You order your crew to start pumping out the water with Jones' help. You managed to patch the hole in time to prevent any further damage to the ship. Why do you think Jones pointed out the damage to you? He did it just out of duty. Jones is a good enlisted enlisted man. He knows his duty. He did it out of his duty. Yeah, perhaps. What do you mean perhaps he's right, game? Are you questioning the morale of my men? I trust my men implicitly. Except for Davies. He was a quitter and died. On the 6th day, one of your men calls down deck. Sail to lee! What sort of ship is that, butt-face? You call back as you search your spyglass. After a minute, the sailor calls back. Looks like a Gaulish sloop of war. How are we going to fight a Gaulish sloop of war with 20 people? We are, as you would say in our homeland of England, al-fuckioed. Yeah, you're trying to figure that out. A sloop of war, that presents you with a difficult choice. A sloop carries no more than 20 guns, and often fewer. What's more, a sloop's guns will be of lighter weight than those of the frigate. If you had a full crew, you could easily capture her but with only a prize crew at your disposal, the sloop would have a much greater rate of fire and substantially larger number of men. What do you do? We're going to avoid the enemy sloop. It is not worth risking our prize frigate. That would make our commanding officer pissed from the H.M.S. Courageous. It takes some careful sailing, but you escape the Gaulish sloop. I could have attacked. I forgot I have really good fighting skills. When you sail into Chesterport a few days later, you feel an enormous sense of relief to be under the protection of the harbor's mighty guns. The captain that commands the port commends you for avoiding capture by the Gaulish sloop. A few months later, H.M.S. Courageous returns to port to rejoin your company. You take up your duties as an acting lieutenant with the added confidence from the successful command of the prize ship, not to mention a few pounds of spending money from the value of the prize. A midshipman's share isn't much, but still enough to earn you a small amount. Can I afford hookers now? And now the hookers! Hooker time in Vagina Town, getting syphilis out my piphilis. What? You take up your duties as an acting lieutenant on the H.M.S. Courageous. The responsibilities are much greater, and your duties have changed significantly. Where previously you were often on deck as an assistant for the officer of the watch, you now take your turn as an officer of the watch. Where you previously commanded a small group of guns, you now command a broadside, and your duties studying under the ship's masters have completely ended. As the year passes, you have opportunity to practice various skills. Which of your skills do you devote the most effort to training? I'm going to spend my time learning to lead the men of the ship. I already know gunnery, I already know how to fight. I'm not going to worry about currying favor with my superiors. I'm just a regular old enlisted guy who got promoted. Fuck that shit, you know? I ain't going for king. I'm not trying to think of an officer. I'm just a regular dude, man. An excellent choice. Oh, thank you. Finally, it is time for your lieutenant examination. You dress in your finest uniform and head over to the ship of the H.M.S. Dreadnought, where a board of captains is convened to examine a plethora of acting lieutenants and midshipmen on the finer points of naval skills. Those who pass are promoted to lieutenant. Those who fail must spend at least another year at sea before trying again. After an interminable wait, your name is called and you present yourself to the trio of captains. They take a perfunctory look at your papers and then launch into the examination. Captain Fitzroy, a middle-aged captain with a particularly hard cast to his face, begins questioning you on gunnery. How many ounces of powder should there be loaded into a long 8? I don't know. My character should know. You stammer for a while before one of the captains cuts in and gives you the correct answer. He then launches to another question that you stumble through. After 10 minutes of agony, the captains confer privately and inform you that you have failed the examination. No! It is with a bitter heart that you return to the H.M.S. courageous as a midshipman. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. If you had a little more patronage, you would have passed. I don't want to pass because I'm not good enough. That's the problem when you have incompetent people promoted because they're friends with the right people. Fuck that shit. I'd rather come back and know my shit. Even worse than resuming the duties and status of a midshipman is the loss of the seniority that you accrued as an acting lieutenant. Now, when you finally become a lieutenant, you'll be a much more junior than you had been otherwise. 4 years passed before you passed the subsequent examination. It took me 4 years to figure out how many ounces of powder go into a long 8. God, I'm stupid. You finally return to the great responsibilities and privileges of lieutenant.
10 minutes before H.M.S, sir!
The quartermaster reports. A steady breeze pulls your ship inevitably west, bound for Kingsport. Very good! You say, pipe the watch below. The first lieutenant, Mr. Pigot, arrived promptly to relieve you of your dog watch. What was his voice? I'll relieve you, Mr. Baker. I forgot everybody's voices. Aye, aye, sir. I stand relieved. Good night, sir. Good night, Mr. Baker. Did he have the dumb voice? Oh, whatever. No, not long after, you find yourself lying in your cot, drifting off to sleep. Soon you begin to dream. You find yourself sitting for your lieutenant's examination. 3 gigantic captains are looking down at you with terrible grins larger than life. This is kind of like the judge scene in The Wall. Good day, Mr. Baker. The first question to you is as follows. You are in temporary command of a 36-gun ship, returning to Albion with maximum haste. The wind is with you, and you are at full sail. The barometer reports a sudden drop in pressure. What do you do next? How do I not know? There's a sudden drop in pressure. That means a storm front is coming. We need to batten down the hatches and prepare for a storm. How do I not know the answer? I will admit I do not know. It must be the dream. I mean, I gotta be right. If the storm's coming in, we've got to prepare for a storm. The captains laugh cruelly. Fully the exam already, Baker! Oh! Any officer would know that the sudden drop in pressure indicates the arrival of a major storm. By the time you'd reef the sails, you'd probably lose a mast. See? I fucking knew. Here's your next question, says the second captain, who seems to have the same voice as the first. You are in temporary command of a 36-gun ship, return to Albion with maximum haste. The wind is with you, and you are at full sail. The barometer reports a sudden drop in pressure. What do you do next? What? Didn't you just fucking ask me this question? No, we're gonna cut holes in the sails to maintain speed through the weather. We need speed holes in the sail. The captain shrieks with laughter, chilling your bones. Oh! Even the most novice seaman would know a drop in barometric pressure means an oncoming squall. You should have chosen to furl the sail. This is your final question, the third captain says disapprovingly. You're in temporary command of a 36-ship gunship. 36-ship gun? Return to Albion with maximum haste. The wind is with you and you're at full sail. The barometer reports a sudden drop in pressure. What do you do next? Furl the fucking sails! Mr. Baker, you've officially failed this lieutenant examination. This is the worst performance I have ever seen in an acting lieutenant. Oh! Furthermore, it is unanimous agreement of the examination board you should be disrated and pressed into service as an ordinary sailor. Good day, Mr. Baker. You awake with a start. No! Drowsily, you can hear Pigot call the watch. It's midnight. The ship is heaving erratically as you yawn deeply. Your ears pop. The pressure's changed. No, I'm going above deck. A storm's coming in. That was like a vision. By the time you get yourself dressed and on deck, you find that things are already going to hell. Last night's steady breeze has become a gale. You feel the mist of rain on your cheek. Mr. Baker, says Pigot, greeting you formally. It's hard to see clearly, but you think you can spy Jones up to the rigging. Furl the motherfucking sail! Furl the sail now, Pigot! How tactless. You can't just tell Pigot what to do. He's your commanding officer. Pigot laughs. Oh, you came up that way to tell me that? I've already got men furling the sail. What do you take me for? At just that moment, Captain Kent appears from his captain. Captain on deck! Yells Pigot. Just then, Jones falls from the rigging of the mizzenmast. Another sailor reaches out to catch him. The wind shrieks and the ship groans and leans precipitously. You hear a pop as someone's arm dislocates. Before anyone can say a word, both sailors have fallen to the deck. One of them killed instantly on impact. The captain takes over from here. After breakfast, all the officers of the ship gather together in the captain's cabin. Pigeot takes a moment to turn to you and hiss, "What were you trying to do last night? To make it seem to everyone I don't know my job? You'll pay for your insolence!" You have no opportunity to defend yourself before the captain calls for everyone's attention. "My question for you, Mr. Pigeot," the captain says, "is why were there men still in the riggings when the storm arrived?" "I could see on the deck that the master's mate Jones hasn't reefed the sails correctly," said Pigeot, "so I ordered the men to return aloft to secure it properly." The captain counters, "Jones says you gave the order to reef the sails too late, and that he and Wilson were already under heavy weather." "With all due respect, sir, Jones is an insubordinate and unskilled master's mate. I'm not surprised he's invented an excuse. I gave the order when it was needed." I'm going to support Jones. Jones, when we were on the other ship, the shitty ship, Gaulish one, he told me when there was a hole in the damn ship. He's enlisted like me. I'm going to support Jones. I went up there's a motherfucking storm. Pigeot was doing nothing. "Jones, you have my support, sir." "Sir," you interject, "may I ask a question?" "Certainly." "The storm arrived quickly, as you said. How and when did you know that the sails needed to be reefed?" "Mr. Baker, you must be quite inexperienced to have to answer such a question. I knew the sails had to be reefed immediately when the wind picked up and the rain set in." "And not when the barometric pressure dropped?" asked the captain. There was a brief silence as everyone in the room realizes that Pigeot has just admitted to a serious blunder. He turns red with rage and embarrassment. "I gave the order at the right time!" he insists, banging his fist on the table. "I demand that Jones be flogged for his error in reefing the sails!" "Yeah, I'm sure he did the best he could under the circumstances, I suggest. But his best was simply not good enough, and now 2 men are dead." The captain is silent for a moment. And he says, "Mr. Pigeot, I will not mention you by name in my report on this to the Admiralty, but I will remember this as I prepare future reports. And as for Jones, the boatswain will administer 20 lashes under Pigeot's supervision." Bryce pipes up, "Jones is still under the care of Dr. Miller." "Very well, his punishment will be postponed until such a time as Dr. Miller agrees to allow it. You're dismissed." "What? What?" Pigeot was clearly at fault. Once you both are out of earshot, Pigeot leans in to whisper to you, "Mark my words, Baker, your career in the Navy is well and truly finished." Are you fucking kidding me? You fucked over my boy Jones. You fucked over my boy Jones. Oh no, that ain't how it goes, Pigeot. As soon as he's able to walk, Jones is laid out for 20 lashes. Pigeot has the boatswain beat him as hard as he can. He's immediately returned to the surgeon's care. Later that night, a midshipman wakes you up from a very deep sleep. "Mr. Pigeot's compliment, sir. He's passing the word for you." Because he is senior to you, you have no choice but to report when he sends for you. You stagger out of bed, quickly put on a uniform, and make your way on deck, where Mr. Pigeot awaits with a nasty smile. "Mr. Baker, did the weather change at all during your watch?" "Yes, sir," you reply as clearly as you are. "The wind has changed twice during the evening. At the end of my watch, the wind was favorable." "Very well, you are dismissed." What an odd question. Couldn't you have gathered that information from the log? I think he's setting me up for something. You find that you're a bit tired the following day. You find it difficult to avoid yawning disrespectfully, but you're in the Navy. You can manage it. 2 days later, Pigeot wakes you up again in the middle of your sleep cycle. "How many times did you throw the chip log to measure speed?" he asks. 3 times, sir, you slur. "Come again, Mr. Baker?" His voice keeps changing. "Sir, I said 3 times. "I see, Mr. Baker. In my opinion, you appear to be inebriated with rum." "Sir, I am not inebriated with rum. It's almost 3 bells. You're exhausted, but you're not drunk." "Well, I'll see." Oh, God, I can't remember his voice. I had to stop for a second. "Well, I'll see to it that won't happen again. You're not to have another drop of rum until my order. Is that clear?" Aye, sir." "You're dismissed, Mr. Baker." Pigeot wakes you again 3 days later to ask whether the captain gave you any standing orders you should be aware of as the next watchstanding officer. Again, 2 days after that. Mr. Pigeot wakes you at least once every 2 to 3 days for the next 3 weeks. Sometimes he takes out the opportunity to lecture for an hour on the importance of respect and good discipline on a ship. He's doing everything in his authority to make your life hell. The following evening, you catch yourself nearly falling asleep on duty. Offense punishable by death. I'm gonna ask Mr. Bryce what he thinks. What was his voice? "I know this is a sticky situation for you," says Bryce. "I wish there was more I could do. You're not the only officer Pigeot has treated unfairly." "Can't we go to the captain?" I wondered if I were you. Everything Pigeot has done has been entirely within his authority. He'll just tell the captain that your reports have been incomplete. As a superior officer, his testimony will always have the benefit of the doubt. With all due respect, sir, he'd be lying to the captain. Mr. Baker, I know you're a good officer, but it's not about what's true and what's false. It's about the chain of command upon which our lives depend. Bryce pauses as you consider his remark. The H.M.S. Courageous is in constant peril from the gulls, from the sea and from our own crew. Discipline is their first and last defense. Sir, if the captain won't break the chain of command, then what do you suggest? Damned if I know. I suggest you could maybe apologize to Pigeot. If I know him half as well as I think I do, he'll just spit in your face. But I think your best bet now is to simply keep a stiff upper lip. You know, fine. I'm going to just tough it up. Fuck it. The next night, Pigeot wakes you again at 3 bells. The following afternoon, you catch yourself dozing during duty. Could have been more than a few seconds. No one appears to have noticed this time. As you head below deck, you see a handful of sailors whispering together. As they catch you out of sight, they stop abruptly and go their separate ways. What do you think they're whispering about? I don't care. Let them gossip. Do you plan to do anything about it? I'm going to pull one of them aside and ask them what they're talking about. Hey, Alan, can I have a word with you? You move closer to your cabin. Dude, what was that little gathering about?
Gathering, sir?
He looks nervous. Look. I'm going to have to threaten him. I need to know, Alan, if you don't tell me the purpose of that assembly, the lash will be the least of your concerns. You emphasize the word assembly, invoking the 19th Article of War, the one about mutinous assembly. Alan's face is now completely expressionless.
I don't know what you mean, sir,
he says, evenly looking you straight in the eyes.
If you'll excuse me, sir, I have some duties to attend.
Oh, damn it. I don't want to report a possible mutiny. These are my brothers. We're both enlisted. I don't want to out them. I'm going to just drop the matter. Alright, you're dismissed, Alan.
Aye, sir.
As Alan turns to leave, you feel a chill run down your spine. Are you really going to ignore a potential murderous mutiny assembly? Why? Because it might not be a mutiny. You know? It might not be. They're just talking. Maybe they were talking about who's got a fat ass. Maybe like, oh, Bryce has got a fat ass. You know? What do I know? We'll see about that, won't we? A few days later, another major storm hits. At almost 4 bells, you find yourself awake, entirely against your own will. Unable to return to sleep, you pull on your uniform and go above deck for some fresh air. On deck, you encounter a most unusual sight. Skies point icy rain. Mr. Pigeot is wrestling with 2 sailors on the edge of the deck. They're trying to push him overboard! They're trying to murder him! Another sailor's on deck watching the fight, but not involved. You're pretty sure he hasn't noticed yet. Look, I really want to go back to sleep. I really want to. Look, I fucking hate Pigeot. There's a reason friendly fire sometimes happens to officers, but as a midshipman, I think it is my duty, and I have to do my duty to save that idiot Pigeot's life. You yell to get the sailors' attention. They hesitate in their wrestling match. One of them slips overboard. No! As Pigeot regains his footing. Realizing the plan has failed, the other sailor relents as Pigeot backs away from the edge and orders the remaining mutineers locked up. Under the testimony of both lieutenants, the remaining mutineers are convicted by a speedy court-martial consisting of the captain and the lieutenants. They hang from the yardarm at dawn the following day. You get a full night's sleep that night. Yeah, you're right. Fuck you, Pigeot. You know you're not going to wake me now. The tropical sun is hot, even through your hat, and it glares painfully off the water. Through your stinging eyes, you can see looming up ahead the cliffs of the little island, a tiny place uninhabited according to the charts. About halfway between the prow of the Courageous and the island, the sea is marked by the white canvas sail of the Gaulish merchant ship, streaking towards the island as fast as she can go, running desperately away from the Courageous pursuit. More sail! The captain commands. Immediately the men jump to obey, feet pounding on the deck and shouting echoes from the rigging. Canvas snaps and billows overheard, but you can tell it isn't enough. The little Gaulish ship is faster than the light wind and has a great head start as well. I don't think we're going to catch her, you say quietly to Bryce. But we gotta catch her, Bryce replies. Before she gets much nearer to shore, we can't maneuver Courageous in those shallow waters. Yeah, I just told her we're not catching her. And indeed, before long, the captain is forced to call off pursuit, citing just that reason. Courageous stays a safe distance out in deep water. You and many others stare resentfully at the prize. If I had a camera on, you see it right now. Resentful. Nestled against the shore in the company of another Gaulish merchant vessel, one that was already there. The Gauls must use this island often for resupply. Mr. Bryce! Mr. Baker! The captain's voice cuts through the reverie. In my cabin, if you please! What if I don't please? We can hold them pinned here indefinitely, the captain says, but we can't get close enough to engage them directly, which means a cutting-out expedition is called for. A group of men will be over... What? A group of men will be sent to approach the merchant ships in the dead of night, board them secretly, take them over, and sail them away from the islands. There are 2 ships, so our force will be divided in 2. Never divide your army in the face of the enemy. Mr. Bryce, you will command one half. Mr. Baker, you will command the other. Expect that each enemy ship has a complement of 30 men. You will each have 40 under your command. Okay, that seems good. Few lieutenants get such a chance to provide? I can't read. Prove their capabilities. Indeed, the captain has clearly decided to pass over to Mr. Pigeot for this opportunity. A decision that you can hardly fault, for Pigeot is an a-hole. If you can pull this off, it'll be a significant boost to your career. So how are you feeling about this? I can't believe how they're asking me how I feel. Does that really matter? What are your feelings about this? How are you feeling about murdering people and taking the ship? Well, you know, I feel, determined. This is going to be difficult, but I'm going to give it everything I got, because that's how I work, and I hope it's enough. Fuck yeah? That's the spirit. You give serious thought to how you will organize your men. Can I organize them in little rows? And then you go to brief the ones who have been assigned to you. They consist of 2 midshipmen and 40 sailors. We will take both boats, you explain. I shall command one, and Mr. Midshipman Stewart to assist me, and Mr. Midshipman Mason will command the other. My boat shall come alongside the starboard of the Gaulish vessel, and Mr. Midshipman Mason's along the port side. We will climb aboard secretly, and then attack from 2 sides with plenty of shouting. Ah! That's the shouting to frighten the spineless Gaulish boys. The men grin. Oh, I hope they liked my speech. You pause. You know that one of the 3 officers must be made responsible for cutting the anchor cable, so that your men will be able to sail the Gaulish ship out to where the H.M.S. Courageous awaits. Another must be responsible for ascending the rigging and loosening the topsail to get the ship underway. Apparently I had something in my mouth. How about what's on a deck? Shut up! And a third must be responsible for taking over the steering of the ship. There are 3 officers available, you and the 2 midshipmen. Which job do you want for yourself? I'm going to take cutting the cable. It is the most important of the job, and if someone has to fight, I'm good at fighting. That's what I'm going to do. Once we are aboard, I shall cut the anchor cable to release the Gaulish ship from its mooring. You, Mr. Midshipman Mason, you shall ascend the rigging and loosen the topsail to set the ship in motion. Mason pales in slightly, but nods. Mr. Midshipman Stewart, it shall be your task to make your way directly to the wheel and steal the prize out of the harbor once we have taken her. Aye, aye! Stewart replies crisply. I wish I could do a Scottish accent, because that would have been it. Now, you men, you will each be provided with a pistol and a cutlass. You will leave at 4 bells, and you will be roused. Sometimes I'm aroused when I wake up, if you know what I mean. Oh! Before dismissing them, you think the plan over. Is there anything else you need to say? Probably. Yes, of course, you nearly forgot. Mind you keep the pistols at half-cock. I don't want you going off half-cocked or full-cocked or all the cock until I give the order otherwise. We don't want there to be any risk of going off before we're aboard. Dismissed! The next few hours pass nervously. Oh, I got anxiety. I would too, though, if I was going to go murder people and steal their ship. As you go over your plan again and again, finally 4 bells sounds, and you hasten to the deck to take command of your party. Party! Along the way, you encounter Bryce, who seems a little nervous too. All in ready, Mr. Baker? Yes? Yes, sir, Mr. Bryce. You've set someone to climb the rigging and loose the topsail, right? And someone to cut the cable? Yes, sir. And an officer responsible for the steering? Yes, sir. And you told the men to keep their damn pistols half-cocked until you give the word? All we need is a premature shot to give away the game. Yeah, I told them. Don't worry, I'm on this. I'm on it, Baker. I'm like a fly on poopies. That's what real English sailors said in the olden days. I'm like a fly like the poopies. Oh, the queen, the king, oh. To everyone in England, I apologize. To a nation of approximately 60 million people, I apologize. To you in the Commonwealth. Nicely done, Mr. Baker. You seem to have thought of everything. Your half of the mission is in good hands. Bryce smiles, looking a little strained. Look to you! I assume that's the strained part. To you two, sir, you say, and you go to shepherd your men into boats. You little sheep, man. War sheep. The oars skim smoothly over the water, and the men obediently keep quiet. Shut the fuck up! You can feel your heart hammer in your throat. Why is my heart in my throat? Shouldn't it be in my chest? That's a problem. And as the great dark shapes of the gullish ship looms overhead, and you hope your hand doesn't shake on the tiller, it is your responsibility to get the boat close enough to board the merchant vessel. Oh, I'm bad at sailing. Not good. Without letting the lookout see anything, you hope your sailing ability is up to the task. Sweat pours down your face as you navigate up close to the starboard side of the gullish ship. To your profound relief, no one aboard notices a thing. Pistols cocked! You order in a whisper. Oh, let me try that again. Pistols cocked. You look up above you at the chains that snake up the ship's sides, shining silver and then disappear into the darkness. It's time. Do you lead or do you order Stewart to lead so you can supervise the men as they board? You know what? I'm going to lead. I'm the officer in command. I'm not going to ask anyone to do anything I am not willing to do. A good officer leads by example. Well said. Follow me, boys! Up and over. You whisper. Oh, follow me, boys. As you loudly as you dare and spring to your feet. Catch hold of the chains behind you and you can hear your men following quietly and quickly as they can manage. It's the sound of the men on the chain gang. Gangbang. You make your way to the top of the heavy chains, pull yourself over the side of the deck. What were we talking about? And come face to face with a wide-eyed, white-faced boy. Oh. He is too startled and frightened to shout now. Can I punch him in the throat? Ka-cha! But he will recover in no more than an instant, and most of your men are still ascending the chains behind you. What do you do? If I shoot him, the entire ship will be alerted. I'm going to hit him in the face with a pistol. I'm sorry to do this to a child, but hopefully it'll knock him down. He falls backward, making no more noise than the soft thump when he hits the deck. Mouth open as if in surprise, and blood running down his face. Great, I hit a child. I hit a child. What? I can't believe I just hit a kid. That's not appropriate. Your men pull themselves over the ship's side as quietly as possible. You wait until a good number are beside you, then take a deep breath. For now beyond, you shout and plunge into the confused mass of gulls, caught unprepared by your surprise attack. What a fucking ninja! You cut to the left and to the right with your sword, shouting loudly as you can. Were we supposed to be stealthy? At first, the gulls scatter before you, but then they begin to regroup. One rushes you from the left, and you turn and plunge your sword into his chest. Hiya! He falls, but there's another diving in from the right, closing fast as you struggle to extricate your blade from his dead shipmate. What do? I'm gonna go to my pistol. That's what guns are for. You know, no, I'm gonna dodge. I'm dodging to the left. No, I'm gonna shoot with my pistol. You let go of the hilt, spin around, leveling your pistol as your new opponent swings his sword. Whistle past your ear. You fire at point-blank range, and the gull falls to the deck. A smoking hole in the center of his chest. In the smooth motion, you pick up the fallen gull's sword and pistol to replace your own. I am motherfucking smooth. That's right, Dick Baker. You turn your attention back to the task at hand, fighting your way through the mass of bodies to the cable. You have almost reached your goal when you find your way blocked by two massive angry gulls standing shoulder to shoulder. You aim your pistol, and just then, out of the corner of your eye, you see Mason fighting a desperate duel on the other side of the deck. If Mason falls, his task will go uncompleted. On the other hand, if you spend your bullet to save his life, you will be out of ammunition. And then you have to fight both these gulls with just your sword. If they cut you down, your task will go incomplete. What do you do? I can win any sword fight, even 2-on-1, and it is my responsibility to see the safety of the men under my command. I turn in fire and save Mason's life. Motherfucking BAM! Mason's attacker drops like a fucking stone. Mason looks over wide-eyed and sees, I'm a motherfucking boss, son! He then gives you an awkward nod of thanks and scrambles to his ass. That's right, boy, you get on it. Dick Baker in effect. Meanwhile, you turn back into two large gulls with large drawn swords charging at you. What's up, boys? It's on, man. It is the Dick Show. Welcome, come get some. You howl with an incoherent challenge. Oh! That was my battle cry. I was a little scared and rushed to meet them. Oh, we're gonna fight! Steel clanks against steel and pain scores across your left leg as one of the gulls lands a blow. Fuck you, that's my walking leg! And you are not fighting by any honorable rules now. You desperately fight for your life using elbows, knees, as well as the blade of your sword. You manage to elbow one gull in the throat. Suck my elbow, bitch! And he falls back choking curses. Oh yeah, I got a big bow. That gives you the opportunity you need to wound the other slightly and run before he recovers. I think I poked him in his booty hole. I'm cutting you a bigger poop hole. Bye! We're on the poop deck. It's okay. Unless you pummel your way through the mass of bodies. Pow! That was stupid. That was supposed to be my cool punching sound. And it was just stupid. face palm and hack it with a sword. The gullish ship is now drifting freely. Ooh. Apparently, I don't know how to make a sound that's drifting. I tried. You look up and pick out Mason's dark figure, very high in the rigging. As you watch, the topsail flutters free. Hell yeah! You turn back to the fight. In no time, the gulls are surrounding all over the deck. You take prisoner those who still live. Get the prize underway and take her safely back to the Courageous. See, it's a good thing I practiced my fighting. Oh wait, I just spaced out right there. I'm like, oh yeah. I was just like, you can't see me because I'm not on camera. I'm just like, oh yeah, I was a really big badass, Super Paul. You're the king of England. Bryce's prize beats you there by no more than a few minutes. You and he meet on deck, and he looks as flushed and giddy as you feel. He's like, oh, we did it. You reach over and shake his hand, and he squeezes you warmly. Brilliant, brilliant, the captain says in approval. Very nicely done indeed, the two of you. He orders you and Bryce to take command of your prizes and sail the Albion, adding with a smile that he would be much surprised if you did not each receive a promotion to commander. I deserve a promotion. I deserve it! And indeed, the Admiralty promotes you to the rank of commander. It is a proud moment. Commander Dick, I'd command all the Dick. What? What? Is that really... I don't know if that's how I wanted to say it. It is a proud moment indeed when you first walk down the street in Chesterport with an epaulette pinned to your left shoulder. Now you are eligible to command a sloop of your own. A sloop poop. Can it be the sloop John B? And receive the courtesy title of Captain. Well done, Captain Baker. Captain Dick Baker. You experience the greatest thrill of your life when you step onto the deck of your first command. Wait, it's not sex. Sex isn't the biggest thrill of my command, or having a child. None of that. It's being on the H.M. Sloop Hotspur. Why has my ship got a dumbass name? I want to call it Dick Stravaganza. You are very pleased indeed by what you observe there. She is a gleaming, almost new sloop that reportedly handles like a charm, crewed by good men. I'd rather hang out with bad men, they're more fun. Obviously accustomed to working well together. A plum command, particularly for a new commander such as yourself. That night you dream of all the fine things you will do now that you have a sloop of your own. I'm going to plow the most lady vaginas. I'm a captain. In the morning you wake to the general hullabaloo. That's a cool word. Hullabaloo! On the dock and in the streets of Chesterport, peace has been declared between Albion and Gaul. But I was going to have more wars. I was going to be a war hero. I want it to be. Oh, the details are not yet finalized, but the documents have been signed and the hostilities suspended. Before you know it, you find yourself once again in front of the captain who commands the port. But this time, to hear the unwelcome news, the Hotspur is to be paid off. That is decommissioned. I just got my ship and you decommissioned it? I just got the thing. I'm just like, I'm a captain. Here's your ship. Now we're taking it from you. Fuck you all. The Admiralty won't have the need of such a large fleet in peacetime. Your career has, for the moment at least, vanished in a puff of smoke in diplomats. Fuck you. Might there be any chance of another command becoming available, sir? I asked deferentially. That was my differential voice. The captain grimaces, I wish I could say, Mr. Baker, but there will be ships needing captains, of course. There will also be a great many post-captains and commanders seeking positions. A bright youngster like yourself has a tolerable chance, but it may take some time. You know, but it's not so bad. You're entitled to half pay, and of course, you have your prize money. You should enjoy your leave, and you will receive a letter of when command becomes available. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about this? You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna be pleased. I get half pay for sitting on my motherfucking ass doing nothing. I'm pleased. It'll be nice to have a holiday. I can manage nicely on half pay plus prize money. And, you know, I'll get a command sooner or later. I'm fucking Commander Dick Bonger Baker, something like that. A perfectly understandable reaction. One day, some weeks later, on your way back from drawing your half pay, you run into an old friend, Bryce. Baker, what good luck to meet up with you. You must come and dine with me tonight. I have to introduce you to my wife. You enjoy the meal very much. Mrs. Bryce is a charming hostess, gracious and shart? She sharted on the table. No, gross. And sweet. And well-mannered, and Bryce is obviously devoted to her. After dinner, you and Bryce sit drinking rum and telling long stories long into the night. Suddenly, Bryce says, So what about you, Baker? High time you got married, isn't it? He looks at you shrewdly and laughs. Yeah, you're about to tell me you've been too busy to think of it. Well, you have plenty of leisure while you're on half pay. You should think about it now. You consider the idea. What do you conclude? I think Bryce has stumbled onto a good thing. It's time to get a wife. You agree that maybe marriage would be a fine thing if you could find the right person. That's the spirit, Bryce says approvingly. Mrs. Bryce knows several eligible young women. Come along to the assembly rooms tomorrow night and we'll see if we can find someone to introduce you to. The assembly rooms are crowded with young people dancing and flirting. In the rooms, off to one side, those disinclined to dance or flirt are playing at cards. You walk around the ballroom, getting your bearings, enjoying the pomp and circumstance and splendor. Suddenly a voice you know cuts through the chatter. Mr. Baker! You turn, astonished. It's Lieutenant Villeneuve. I'm sorry, I don't remember any of these voices. He is not wearing the uniform of the Gaulish Navy. Oh, yeah. He was the prisoner. But is unmistakably the same man who you met aboard a Gaulish prize some time ago. The years since have treated him well. His skin is more weather-beaten, perhaps, and a scar seams his left cheek, but he looks to be otherwise in good health and spirits. And he is not hurting for money either. He is dressed in a very fine linen shirt and a coat with a gleaming gold button and carries a pair of elegant gloves such as a gentleman wears when dancing. He has clearly come to the assembly intending to dance. It is a small shock to you to realize that a Gaulish officer is someone's invited guest. Well, the war is over, so... Mr. Villeneuve, what on earth are you doing here? What a surprise! It's a surprise to see you as well! His Albanish comes more easily than it did when you first met, though it's still heavily accented. Though I do acknowledge the surprise must be much on your side as well, to encounter me on the soil of Albion, no? He smiles disarmingly. I have cousins who reside here. Many Gaulish families can say the same. Marriages in between Gaul and Albion are not uncommon, after all, during the years of peace, and the years of peace have returned! He gestures around the room. So a man once again has freedom to visit his relations. It is a very fine thing, this peace. It permits. He inclines his head at you. Civilized gentlemen interact in a civilized manner. This is as frank an overture of friendship as you have ever seen. What do you do? I'm going to respond in kind. Friendship with friendship. He is a man of honor, and there's no reason to think him anything less than sincere. So it does, and I raise my wine glass to you, to civilization. Civilization, Villeneuve agrees and raises his glass back, but quietly he says, You treated me with great respect when I was your prisoner, and I have never forgotten that. It is not always so. I have a very high-pitched voice. Do you think people judge me for that? Either way, I have watched many Albanish officers mistreat those they've captured, and so the honorable ones shone all the brighter. Before you can respond, a fair-haired young Albanish man emerges from the crowd and touches Villeneuve's sleeve. He begins, Clarence, wondered if you wish to join us at whist. He notices you. Oh, apologies. This is my cousin, Mr. Christy Pillow. Villeneuve says to you, Cousin, may I present Mr. Baker? So you and Clarence are in search of the whist players? Villeneuve raises an eyebrow at you. Perhaps you would care to play? I am going to be a good man, and I agree. I'm curious to know Villeneuve better. I'm butchering his name. You retreat to the card room with Villeneuve and his cousin, where you are introduced to a thin, middle-aged Albanish man identified as Clarence Gilchrist. Gilchrist and Christy Palair couldn't care less. You notice how I just like half-assed the names at times? Couldn't care less about getting to know you. They just wanted to play whist. The four of you sit down at the polished oak table. I need a woman to polish my knob table, if you know what I mean. That's why I'm here, not to play fucking cards or something. You draw lots to pick partners. You and Gilchrist team up against Villeneuve and Christy Palair. You look at Villeneuve's face, and you can't tell what he is thinking. You think of the deck of the Gaulish prize ship, ocean heaving all around you, shots and shouts echoing in your ear. The card room is warm and dimly lit and somewhat stuffy with the smoke of the card players, pipes and cigars. You know what, this is bizarre, it's a little weird. Whist is a hard game to cheat at. Why would I want to cheat at it? I'm not an asshole. But you still manage to cheat if you can catch a glimpse of the other player's card if you want to. Do you want to cheat? No, I am not. I am a gentleman, sir. I don't cheat in real life anyway. It's funner to win by not cheating. Of course, I apologize for doubting your honor. That's right, Arthur. Never doubt my honor again. I will punch the fuck out of your dick hole. Unless you like that, then I won't. You play whist for the rest of the evening and greatly enjoy yourself. Oh, I'm having so much fun. It's great. Gilchrist and Christy Palair devote most of their attention to the cards, but Villeneuve makes conversation here and there. You respond as best as you can. It's awkward at first, but grows easier as the evening progresses, and you find yourself thinking that it's really quite a lot like playing cards with your shipmates. Villeneuve's style of play tells you something about him, too. He is aggressive and fearless when engrossed in the game, quite different from his carefully polished manners. The rest of the time, you can respect that. I guess I can. It is a shame this man was born Gaulish. Why can't he be English like the rest of us? For he would have been an asset to the, English ship. You are not a terribly good whist player. Fuck! And to Gilchrist's evident irritation, you and he come off very badly indeed. But Villeneuve is a gracious winner, smoothly cuts off Christy Palou's less well-bred boasting. Well thought, Villeneuve says to you, and he says to the other men, No, I have no wish to spend more time at this game. At last, a last drink instead before the night is over. Very good, a toast, gentlemen, to Western civilization. God, that voice hurts my throat. And now you must see about getting yourself home, and it isn't very late indeed. I didn't even get a wife. Bryce poked his head into the card room sometime earlier, telling you that he and Mrs. Bryce wished to return home, and said not to worry, that you would find your own way back. And now you need to do that. You stand outside breathing in the night air, your head is fuzzy from the stuffiness of the card room, or did you have too much to drink? Probably had too much to drink, I do like to drink. Behind you hear Villeneuve's distinctive voice. No, not to worry, it is more important. The carriage be put to the young lady's use. I can manage myself very well. You turn curious. It seems Mrs. Gilchrist engaged my cousin. Oh, it seems Mrs. Gilchrist engaged my cousin and Mr. Gilchrist to provide transportation for a youngster who's feeling ill. Villeneuve explains, it is no matter for me to walk. The night is a fine one. Turns out the two of you are headed in the same direction. Do you want to walk with him? Hell yeah, he's my bro. We've been drinking, playing cards. Fuck yeah. You head off into the dark and quiet night. Villeneuve is making some inconsequential observation about whist games. When you think you hear a rustle in the bushes that line the left side of the path, what do? I'm going to draw my sword and challenge the blackguard in the bush. Fuck you, bush! I am drunk and I will cut the fuck out of you, son! Show yourself! I shout, yanking out my sword and whirling to face the left-handed bushes. I hope so. Whatever's in front of you in the bushes does not obey, but out of the corner of your eye you can see three men come lunging out of the bushes to the right. A gang of footpads preying on unaware or drunken travelers such as yourself. You have to admit that they set up a very effective ambush. It doesn't matter, I am motherfucking awesome with a sword. Villeneuve draws the sword too. Footpads have surrounded the two of you. You fight back to back against the four of them. Even drunk, you manage to hold your own. These men are not trained after all, and armed only with knives. And your reflexes know exactly what to do, so do Villeneuve, it would seem. You slash at the nearest footpad, and he hastily stumbles backwards. The one beside him lunges in under your guard, knife stabbing throat. What do? I'm gonna contemptuously parry his little knife with my sword. You know what, fuck it, I'm gonna punch my knife blade into his chest. Fuck him. The effective drink slows your reflexes fractionally, and you don't manage to stab through the heart. He understands your intent perfectly, however, and almost falls as he scrambles to get away from you. I'm gonna murder you! Dropping the knife in his face, he takes off into the night. With no footpad left to menace you, you swing around to see how Villeneuve fares. Not very well, it seems. No! He lunges forward one footpad. This man fights the way, and he plays whist, fearlessly and aggressive. But he puts unprotected back to the other, who raises the knife eagerly. I'm gonna charge to his aid. He's my fucking bro now. Nobody stabs my bro. Of course you do. How could an English gentleman do otherwise? You strike out at the footpad and score a long cut along his arm. Sock it, bitch! His arm howls in pain and he drops the knife, not bothering him in the attempt to retrieve it. Clutching his bleeding arm, he stumbles away from you and takes off into the night. His companions follow suit. The footpads had been counting on an easy robbery. You and Villeneuve together are too much trouble to make the fight worth their while. Villeneuve drops a deep, slow breath and sheathes his sword. He turns me in your eye. Thank you, he says. Yo, no problem, dude. My pleasure, bitch. Villeneuve holds out his hand and you shake it and he chuckles, though it sounds just a little strained. It's good to be alive, is it not? What now? Oh, it's good to be alive, ain't it? He says. You know, I could say let's go get more drinks, but after this I think we should be glad we survived. Let's just go to bed. We're gonna go home and go to bed. Perhaps we ought to get to our respective homes if we want to remain alive. Villeneuve nods. As you say, my friend. Because why get drunker and drunker and our reflexes get worse and worse, so we can't win the next fight? You walk together in silence until you reach your lodges, at which point he wishes you a cheerful good night. Pleasure working with you, Mr. Baker. You somehow don't feel like going into details of your evening with Bryce and Mrs. Bryce. You evasive when they ask you later if you met anyone interesting at the assembly. Well, Bryce says several days later, you didn't get very far with finding your wife. The Williamsons are having a to-do tonight, a supper party. Come along with Mrs. Bryce and me, and we'll see if we can find you a likely-looking good girl there. You put on your uniform, shine your shoes, and accompany Bryce and Mrs. Bryce to the supper party. The two modest rooms are crowded with people. Take a look around, Bryce says. If you see anyone you'd like to be introduced to, just let me know. Can I go up and, talk to them myself? You spend a little time getting your bearings. Some people are sitting at card tables, playing at whist. Some are standing in the pleasant breeze that wafts through the windows, talking together. In the far room, you see a small group dancing. This isn't a proper ball, of course, but it appears to be a boulder? The boulder among the young people are persuaded the pianist to play a tune whilst they dance. As you wander through the rooms, you can't help but notice that many of the young women look admiringly at your uniform. Maybe it won't be so hard to impress one of them. 3 in particularly catch your eye. A tall, proud-looking golden-haired woman standing with a group in the front window, a lively-looking redhead among the dancers who was laughing at a joke someone has just told, and a sweet-faced, brown-haired girl sitting quietly off to the sidelines. You ask Bryce whether they know anything of any of them. Bryce chuckles. You got a good eye, Baker. Well, everybody, I made a slight mistake. I didn't mean to, but I did. I accidentally stopped recording. So this is what we missed. Our guy, what was our guy's name? Dick Baker? We asked out the middle girl. We decided to ask her if she wanted to dance with us. She said yes. We crushed her feet, and she got pissed. So that didn't work out so much. So Mr. Bryce offered to introduce us to a plan B. It's always good to go with a plan B, right? Is that what we're going to tell her? You're on my plan B. So, Bryce performs the introductions. This is my young friend Dick Baker, a most upcoming young officer. Let me tell you, he most particularly desired to make your acquaintance. Miss West looks at you. Oh, how very nice to meet you, she says. Oh, the pleasure's all mine, I say, sporting a naval boner. Bryce winks at you and drifts away to talk with someone else. How's he drift away? Help! The wind is blowing me away! What do I do next? Well, I'm not going to ask Miss West to dance, because I tried to get to dance with the other lady and I crushed her feet. I'm not going to play cards with her because that's boring. I want to tell her about my kick-ass adventures at sea. You sit down beside Miss West and tell her women should listen, and regale her with tales of your adventures at sea. At first, she seems too timid to look at you directly. She's scared of my cannon, but after a while, she relaxes and even starts to ask questions. That's right, ask only about me. I'm a terrible date. Encourage you press on, telling Miss West about bloody battles and fists and fighting and the prizes you have won. Somewhere along the way, you realize she's no longer looking at you. What? She shrinks away a little, as though disturbed by your enthusiasm for battles and killing. I will kill you for not loving me! Was that too much? Too fast? Too much? You try to recover, but too late. She answers you with the briefest possible responses until you give up and you excuse yourself. Damn it, I need to make babies. Maybe it wasn't such a good plan to tell bloodthirsty stories to such a shy young lady. Just a thought. What do you do next? I could join a group of gentlemen who are looking for a fourth or whist. I don't want dudes. Or I could drink too motherfucking much and try to draw attention to myself so some young lady, any young lady, will notice me and be introduced to me. You act like a drunken boy. I love boobies! That's pretty hot. That's some hot talk. I'm going to write that down for next time I'm on a date. Great plan. Do you think any of the women you hadn't yet approached find you terribly attractive now? Don't judge me, game. Do not judge me in my awesome ways of grabbing women? Oh, that sounds wrong. That don't sound right. How'd it go? Bryce asked you as you head together. It didn't go well, dude. Oh well. Bryce says philosophically, there'll be other parties. Yeah, I ain't so good with women, apparently. Unfortunately, there aren't any during this particular leave. Mrs. Bryce falls ill, and so the Bryces do not attend any other functions. Without them to act as your sponsors, you do not receive any invitations. There are no other women in all of Great Britain that don't want to hop on my pants cannon? The peace with Gaul does not last. Before long, hostilities have resumed and the Admiralty is building back up its Royal Navy to combat the Gaulish threat to the freedom of the seas. The letter arrives by some special messenger very early in the cold morning. It was so cold I couldn't speak. I was like, blah, blah, blah. That's my cold voice. I live in Michigan. I should have a better one. You slit the seal. Your orders are written in fine black script on heavy, creamy colored paper. It reads, you are requested and required to assume the command of the H.M.S. sloop Defender. Your own command. At last, I'm doing it. I'm making it big, mama. That's the next chapter right there. Everybody, the next chapter. Can we look at the stats? I'm 31 years old. What the hell am I even good at? I had notes somewhere. I'm good at guns. Oh, I'm good at honor. Gun. This seems like too much work. Lead. Fuck the rest. Whatever. I don't make decisions by knowing what's going on. What? What's going on? No. What? What the hell happened at the end? That was the end? The end was nothing happens? The end was your... What? What? No. Alright, there we go. I had a problem there. I had to redo it. At the crack of dawn, you walk to the end of a long pier where you first catch sight of the H.M.S. sloop defender. It's not all that you hoped for. There are barnacles in the hull, the sails are tattered at the edges, and the paint is worn. It's no better as you find yourself standing on the dirty, uneven deck, introducing yourself to your first and only lieutenant. Oh, you will always be my first lieutenant. Whoa. Oh. I gotta reuse a voice.
Welcome aboard, the Defender, sir, says Mr. Bentley proudly. Finest sloop in the Navy. I took the finest poop in the Navy earlier, but that's overboard now.
His uniform looks as if he'd put it out in the dock. He wouldn't know the finest sloop in the Navy if it ranked him with a broadside. You promptly draw out the orders from the Admiralty, placing you in command of the H.M.S. sloop defender. When you finish reading your orders aloud to the crew, you're officially the new master and commander of the sloop. Master and commander. Out of the corner of your eyes, you spot a familiar sailor, Master Mates Jones. Ah, make that Jones, as he was disrated in connection with the unpleasant business with Mr. Pigot back on the H.M.S. Courageous. He greets you with a respectful salute, but he's obviously disappointed to find himself in your command again, as if you didn't have enough to worry about. Why, I like him. I back Jones.
Captain Baker,
says the middle-aged man coming up from below the deck.
Carter reporting for duty. I got peanuts and peanuts and peanuts. I'm the senior master's mate and the acting master of the Defender.
A post captain would have a sailing master under him as the most senior warrant officer, but on a sloop the commander is technically also the master. You still have a few master's mates, experienced ratings, working to get their warrants as masters in the Royal Navy. Mr. Carter, as senior mate, will fill the role of the sloop's sailing master in all but title. Mr. Carter, make the sloop ready for some shakedown maneuvers. I want to see her capabilities.
Aye, aye, sir.
You inspect Carter carefully. You grab his balls and see they have descended or become old and wrinkly as he readies the sloop for basic action.
Why are you touching me there?
Oh, you'll know soon enough. You quickly realize that this man is the only force holding the sloop together. Benson gives orders, but Carter has them followed. Under Carter's guidance, you manage to get the sloop out onto open waters. So we got a piece of shit ship. The shakedown maneuvers are embarrassing. You sail the sloop around, clear for battle, and fire off a broadside. The sails are not hauled taut. It takes longer to raise and lower the sails than it should, and it takes much longer, a full minute or more, to clear the sloop for action than it ought. The broadside is ragged and slow, and one sailor injures himself by getting his foot crushed by a gun carriage. That sucks. When you're firing off the cannons, don't put your feet anywhere near where they can get crushed. At this point, you believe that overall the crew is fairly unhappy and poorly disciplined. You're going to have to turn this sloop into a credible fighting vessel. To do that, you'll have to put the men to work. It looks like this crew isn't particularly used to hard work yet. Slacker ship? That's, I'm cool with that. Where do you want to focus their efforts? God. We better clean the sloop. Otherwise, everybody's gonna get sick. Royal Navy vessels are normally fairly clean, but you take it to another level! The men holystoned the deck to a smooth white sheen. They spent hours on the knees scrubbing the deck with soft sandstone, then pumping water across it and scrubbing the deck again. I thought it was just maybe had diseases. We didn't need to be the shiniest ship in the fleet. The work is back-breaking and the hands are scraped almost raw by the effort, but now the sloop's deck is so clean you can eat off of it. As they come off the deck cleaning duty, they go to polishing the brasswork of the sloop. Every last brass fitting is polished, shined, and polished some more. The guns are oiled and cleaned, the ropes neatly coiled, and every last sail is mended. You heel the sloop over onto its side and send men overboard on the lines to scrape the hull clean. And then repeat the process on the other side. Every last bit of paint on the hull is touched up by the time you're done. It might not be bad. Getting the barnacles off will make us go faster. The process takes days, but by the end of it, the sloop looks like a very different vessel. Gone is the ugly sloop, worse than some merchant ships that you took command of. You are now commanding a sloop that would compare well to any in the Royal Navy. What's more, the men seem to notice the change too and walk with a certain pride. The discipline of the sloop increases, as does its happiness. Look, they're all proud of doing a good job. However, it's clear that they haven't had to work this hard in quite some time. You manage to overhear a few surly grumbles from the crew, though you don't manage to catch, in particular, sailors grumbling. We are not ready for war. I know morale matters, but we're going to keep them working. We're going to drill them next on gunnery. For day after day, you drill the men on gunnery, you clear the sloop for action, run out the guns, and blaze away with both broadsides as fast as the guns can be cleaned. Should have probably done sailing, because I'm not good at sailing. Loaded, run out, and fired. The work is dirty and hard, like you, with blasts of heat and smoke every time the gun fires. Every broadside is timed with a tongue lashing or worse for any sailor who slows down the firing. After hours of non-stop gunnery, you vary the pace for a bit, floating several emptied barrels past the sloop. Your gun captains practice their aim as each gun fires at the target in turn, right as the crew is beginning to relax, settling into a slower rhythm. You shout for them to resume full-speed broadsides, firing as fast as they can. When the men are completely exhausted, struggling through the routine, you order them to tie down the guns and restore the sloop to normal sailing conditions, only to order the sloop cleared for battle and another broadside fired again. By the end of the day, the men stagger down for dinner. And then the next day, starting with a tired crew, you do it again. After several days of this brutal regimen, you see a real improvement. The men are more alert, quicker in responding to the changes you ordered, and the speed of your broadside has improved. With the reload time reduced by nearly a third, the men groan, oh, as you order them to the guns each day, but slowly they becoming a real credit to the Royal Navy. The sloop's discipline increases greatly, but its happiness declines. You believe, however, that overall the crew is fairly unhappy, yet reasonably disciplined. Yes, you are working the men hard. They go to sleep sore, they wake up sore, they do a long day's work, and they do it all again the following day. You're not sleeping so well yourself, in fact. As the night watch pounds on the deck every night while you're sleeping, they roll cannonballs on the gun deck, and stomp their feet. Oh, so they keep me awake at night? You quickly begin to suspect that they're doing this intentionally to torment you. Oh, what's his voice?
It's difficult, it's a difficult crew, sir.
Volunteers, Mr. Carter.
Many of these landsmen came from the jails. I've done what I can with them, but the previous captain and his lieutenants struggled to keep them in line.
You know what? I could punish the worst sailor. That's tempting to take a guy and make an example out of them. But you know what? I'm just... let it get out of their system. I'm not going to punish anybody. The crew quickly learns that they can get away with anything under your command. Discipline is in shambles. You struggle to keep your sloop on course and your men under control. Happiness increases, but discipline decreases greatly. One evening, you head below deck, and as some of the men are taking dinner, you find Jones telling a bawdy joke about lascivious habits of women in London. The nether regions are dirty. Oh, he tells it quite well, and you hadn't noticed before, but Jones has a certain natural charisma about him that makes the others turn to listen to him. I could chastise them for behavior unbecoming a sailor. We're fucking sailors, man. Have them whipped. Keep an eye on them. No, I'm going to tell a bawdy joke of my own. I'm an enlisted man originally. They listen to your tale respectfully, but it's a highly awkward moment. You're just not likable enough to tell a story like this to your crew without seeming forced. At this point, you believe that overall the crew is fairly unhappy and poorly disciplined. Oh, it's all going to hell. It's all going to hell. A few days later, Mr. Carter brings you a landsman sailor who he found on sleep watch. Sorry, sir, he mumbles groggily. I don't want to whip him. I'm not going to have them hanged. I mean, it is a bad offense, but we're going to put him on double watch and forbid him rum. That'll be his punishment. Discipline increases slightly. Cutting him off for rum should have helped, but you are soon enough informed by a young volunteer that he has fallen asleep on duty a second time. We're going to whip him this time. As a captain of the sloop, you have His Majesty's authority to have any of your sailors flogged. How many lashes? We're gonna give him 5. We're gonna go off. It's gonna be light. We're gonna give him 5. Literally, the very least you could have done. The crew's getting the idea you're easy on insubordination. Damn it! Discipline decreases. Look, as you head below deck, you see a handful of sailors and midshipmen whispering together, including Jones. As soon as they catch the sight of you, they stop abruptly and go their separate ways. You experience a brief moment of deja vu, as the Gauls call it. I could whip them silently. I'm gonna just pull one aside and talk to him. I'm gonna pull Jones aside. You bring Jones to your cabin for questioning. Dude, what were those guys whispering about? Sir? I don't remember what Jones's voice was. I apologize. I saw you there with Walker and Green. Sir, replied Jones slowly. We weren't whispering. Green was telling us to tell about his wife back in Albion. I hate to do it, but I'm going to threaten him. Don't lie to me, Jones, or I'm going to have you flogged. Sir, it's God's own truth, I swear it. Of course, saying otherwise at this point would be an admission of guilt. On the other hand, maybe I should have Sorry about that. On the other hand, maybe I should have just have Walker and Green flogged. Maybe you can provide me with information to spare your hide. No, sir! He seems even more alarmed at the suggestion. Perhaps he's afraid of what the others might do if they thought he snitched. This is your last chance, Jones. After a pause, Jones looks you dead in the eye, almost disrespectfully. I'm sorry, sir. There's nothing I can tell you. I can't do it. I'm just gonna drop the matter. I can't be, like, flogging everybody left and right. That's just not my thing. I am worried the crew morale's getting out of hand. At this point, you believe the crew is fairly unhappy and is poorly disciplined. There are definitely some bad apples in the crew. The next day, Mr. Benton reports that Mr. Carter has died in a fatal accident. He fell down the hatchway, sir. He must have overbalanced. You think it's an accident? I don't know. I'm a terrible captain. They never should have made me a captain. Mr. Carter was an experienced and expert sailor, but accidents do happen, even to the most able sailors. Besides, the alternative is almost too horrible to contemplate. The question is, what are you going to do? I'm going to investigate the murder. At the end of the investigation, you think it was probably a murder, but you have no idea who did it. And you have few possibilities, but none of them really convincing. What do you do? I'm not going to hang anyone. I'm not going to drop the matter. I'm going to keep investigating. You keep investigating, and the atmosphere on the sloop becomes poisonous as every member of the crew fears that you'll turn on them. You make no progress in solving the crime, however. Happiness decreases substantially. We're not even going to get into a fight and win. You're now in a difficult position of selecting a new acting master. Mr. Carter's two mates both leave something to be desired. There's McDougal, the senior mate. He's intelligent, but he usually diverts his intelligence toward finding clever ways to avoid work. Well, he reminds me of myself. You doubt he'll set a good example for the crew. There's Avery, the junior mate. He's staunchly loyal to you and to the ship, but that's about all you can say for him. He's simple-minded, to put it kindly, a moron, to put it plainly. And of course, there's Jones. As commander of the H.M. sloop defender, you have the authority to restore him to his old grade as master's mate. You could then promote him to acting master. Jones would certainly appreciate it. It might help to have another strong friend in the crew. Hell yeah? Jones is my boy, man. Jones is promoted. Oh, I just forgot his voice. Thank you, sir. I'm sorry, I keep jumping over. Yeah, it's the least I can do, Jones. Mr. Jones. You won't live to regret it. A few nights later, you wake with a start. The sounds of shouts and clanging metal outside your cabin. You swing up out of bed, grabbing for your sword, just as a team of armed sailors breaks down the door. They're led by Jones, whose face is twisted to a sneer. Not so powerful now, are you? He scorns. He says scornfully, I promoted you, asshole! Over your shoulder, you can see the Marine sentry and a sailor bleeding to death on the deck. Throw down that sword! Fuck you, Jones. Fuck you. I promoted your dumbass, and you turn on me in a mutiny? I'm killing your dumbass. You attack so ferociously, he stumbles back in surprise, ruthlessly following up your advantage. You cut your way through the mutineers and manage to maneuver your way out of your cabin. On the deck, you see the mutiny is just getting started. I'm going to rally these loyalists, rally around the valley with a pocket full of shells, and assess the tactical situation. The parts of the crew were unhappy enough to risk their lives to kill you. Notwithstanding your efforts to build discipline, the numbers are still on your side. For now. Dudes, we got to retake this ship! And the men surrounding you not in agreement. Some of them are armed with blades or pistols. Some of them only have their bare hands, but at least they're on your side. For England! Says Albion, but whatever. They follow you as you charge back down the deck. No longer fighting defensively, but now actively attacking anyone in your way. I'm gonna fight everybody. From around the corner, come a contingent of mutineers. Some of the ones who broke into your cabin and some others. They stop when they see your party of loyalists. You stop too. Your two groups glare at each other along the deck. Light glistens off the blades of their cutlasses. I'm going to grab a pistol and shoot these assholes. Without bothering to speak, you snatch Cartwright's pistol and fire at the closest mutineer. He falls. The others come charging up the deck. Your loyalists meet them squarely, and the battle is engaged. Bullet rips through your shoulder. That ain't good. That's not good. And your vision contracts with pain, but that doesn't stop you. Shouting and slashing, you fight mutineers for control of your command. The battle is long and bloody, but at the end the loyalists are victorious. Easily a dozen men have died, and a further 24 are unable to work. But with that show of force, you put down the mutiny and re-establish control of your sloop. H.M. sloop defender continues her cruise. On a bright and clear day, you come into the sight of the Gaulish merchant convoy. With no apparent warships to defend it, there are a dozen Gaulish merchant ships in all. How do you plan to attack? Okay, we're gonna stay to the windward side, planning on picking off Gaulish ships one by one as we overrun them. With the advantage of the wind gauge, we'll be able to catch any ships as they try to run away from us. We can outrun them. We're in a sloop. You snap off orders, closing with the Gaulish convoy, and running up the ensign of the Royal Navy. Is that the Union Jack? The Gaulish ships begin to scatter, hoping that you will have to chase one or two to allow the rest to escape. Defenders' crews... What? Defenders' crew responds to your orders as well. The men are not the most disciplined crew that you have served with, but they are adequate to the task at hand. You maneuver the sloop well, overtaking one Gaulish ship after another, and a barrage of cannon fire at the Gaul sails cripples your prey. Inevitably, most of the ships escape, but you capture 5 of the enemy. That's pretty fucking good. One sloop, we got 5 merchantmen. You've deprived the Gauls of much-needed supplies, and earned yourself a sizable payment of prize money. In addition to your able service, turning the H.M. sloop defender into a worthy part of the Royal Navy, the Admiralty promotes you to the post of captain and assigns you to the H.M.S. Dauntless. Yeah, that's pretty kick-ass. A 38-gun frigate. The Admiralty asks if you have a preference for your first lieutenant. I don't give a fuck. You know, whoever's first lieutenant there, he's got to be better than everyone else I've dealt with. The current first lieutenant is a man in his early 30s named Evans. He is competent and able, but nothing more than that. Also, by not making personal management more difficult for your superiors, you have earned a small additional amount of support higher up in the Royal Navy. I like that. I like that. They're like, who do you want? I'm like, dude, whoever. I'm good. And they're like, you're the man. Your frigate, the H.M.S. Dauntless, sails into Kingsport Harbor. Kingsport is the principal harbor city in one of Albion's major colonial possessions in the tropics. The fleet based out of Kingsport consists mostly of frigates like your own, perfect for raiding Gaulish ships and for defending Albion's own merchant marine from the depredations of the Gaulish navy and privateers. Assignment to this fleet is quite a plum. I don't like plums. You're like, I really wanted to know about that, Super Bowl. Can you tell me more what you don't like? With great opportunities for prize money and pleasant ports of call on tropical islands, shortly after your ship makes port, while you are overseeing the process of taking on new supplies, you signal the signal midshipman runs up to you. He's like, he touches his hat and salute. Signal from the captain, sir. Admiral's compliments. Signal from the flag. Captain of the Dauntless, vigilant and intrepid. Please come to the flagship at your convenience. Acknowledge the signal and inform the officer of the watch to have my boat prepared immediately. When the Admiral asks you to report to the flagship, it is convenient for you to drop whatever you are doing and head over immediately. Within a minute, your boat is lowered over the frigate's side. Upon your arrival, smartly dressed sailors, as opposed to dumbly dressed, and a Marine honor guard pipe you aboard the H.M.S. Indomitable, the Admiral's flagship. The Flag Admiral Lieutenant touches his hat to each of the arriving captains. Sir, if you please accompany me. The Admiral's waiting in his stateroom. What state? Michigan! I hope so. The 3 of you are shown into the Admiral's stateroom, a surprisingly large cabin for... Captain? He's a really fat man. A large cabin for a warship with a large and heavy table set in the middle. The Admiral is in his late middle age, his youthful vigor long since having given way to a prosperous roundness. He is fat! I was correct. I'm like, I got fat radar. I can look with my eyes. That is round. Just like me. His flag captain murmurs each of your names as you enter. Baker, Dick Baker. The Admiral pours a glass of port. We're in port and we're drinking port. We're probably actually out at sea, so that doesn't work. For each of you, and clears his throat. As you know, I used to be a captain. I got promoted to Admiral. Second, one of our principal responsibilities in the station is to protect England's merchant shipping. The foodstuffs and raw materials from these colonies are vital to Albion's security. Recently, however, a Gaulish commerce raider has taken a large number of our merchant ships as prizes. The Gaulish frigate has recently made port on Blue Island. Blue like my soul. Blue Island is a possession of Jutland and thus still neutral. Jutland. That's more like Buttland. Oh, can I get a hey? So we can't take the frigate there, but we do have spies keeping their eyes out. That sounds painful. You rip them out. Oh, I took my eyes out. I can't see a thing. Worst spy ever. And so we got a report of the frigate. She's a 44-gun frigate called the Lynx, under the command of the Captain Villeneuve. Oh, that's our boy! That's the guy who... Yeah, it's our man. You startle slightly. Oh! At the name of the Lynx captain, the Admiral raises an eyebrow. You know Villeneuve, Captain Baker? Yeah, our paths have crossed a few times, you know? All the better. I'm assigning each of you a mission to hunt down the Lynx. You are to make all the efforts to capture a destroyer. I know. You'd rather be hunting rich Gaulish merchant ships. I would rather you were hunting rich merchant Gaulish ships as well. The Admiral smiles. After all, he receives fully 1/4 of the value of any prizes his ships capture. But we have our duty to think of, a duty to please some booties and to fight a war. Besides the rules of neutrality, none of you can take stations within sight of Blue Island. I want Vigilant to patrol the east of the island, Intrepid to sail to the west, Dauntless to patrol the north. One of you should be able to force Linux to action as she sets out sail. I am also well aware of the fact that a 44-gun frigate is significantly more powerful than any of your ships. However, I have no heavier frigates to send, and a ship of the line would be unable to force the Lynx to fight. I trust that the superior sailing and gunnery... Our sailing is not superior. Our gunnery is good, though. Of the Royal Navy will be more than sufficient for you to prevail. And as their lordships say in orders giving you command of ship, failing these duties at your peril. Unless there are any questions, best be about it then. You quickly return to your ship. As soon as you have the most essential supplies aboard, you make sail to fight Captain Villeneuve. How can you fight him after all you've been through? How can there be a way to avoid this? War is war. I dread fighting him, but it is still my duty. Sad yet true, you sail the H.M.S. Dauntless into position north of the main port of Blue Island, but out of sight of the port. Staying on a specific station requires a certain amount of tacking. That's tacky. And sailing back and forth, but that provides you with an opportunity to drill. Oh, I'm drilling the crew. Ew. No friggin' in the riggin'. If you want, you should look up the song by the Sex Pistols. Pretty good. Into a high state of readiness. On the third day after you arrive in a position, a sailor in the crow's nest calls down, "Caw-caw! I mean 2 sails, one to port, one to starboard." You pull out your spyglass and look at each ship. The ship to port looks like a fully loaded, large Gaulish merchant ship. It'd be easy prey for a 38-gun frigate like Dauntless. It would fetch you a substantial payment in Primus money. But the ship to the starboard is a warship. You can't be certain at its range, but the ship is probably the Lynx, the Gaulish 44 that you've been sent to defeat. Duty demands that I fight the warship despite the dangers. That is our orders. Set a course to the ship to starboard, Mr. Evans, and beat to your quarters. Aye, aye, sir. He responds, "I'm 13. I just got promoted today." Drums echo throughout the ship as the clear crews the ship for action. Neither ship has the wind gauge as you approach, but the wind is blowing and steady, giving you a fair degree of speed and maneuverability. Lynx is a stronger ship in terms of armament and construction, but the men of the Royal Navy are generally better trained and more reliable than those of the Gaulish Navy. How do you plan to win this battle? We are going to stay at range and fight a gunnery duel, relying on my ship's superior gunnery to offset the Lynx's heavier broadsides. It's true, we are very good at gunnery. That's what we're going to go with. Captain Villeneuve is happy to take his chances in a protracted broadside duel as well, so you take up positions at medium range and begin to exchange broadside after broadside. The gunnery duel rages on, with each ship firing broadside after broadside at the other. Lynx has a significantly heavier broadside, perhaps a third again as powerful as yours, but your well-trained crew maintains a higher rate of fire with better accuracy. Not better. It's a good thing I trained them. Slowly, you wear the enemy down, although you take casualties and damage all the while, hoping the Lynx does not get a lucky hit that could win the battle. Despite your advantages in gunnery duel, you have not been able to disable the Lynx. Captain Villeneuve begins seeking to close with you, hoping that a boarding action will be more favorable than gunnery battle. Do you let him? No! I have him where I want him. I'm not going to let him close. You do your best to keep the Lynx at range, but Captain Villeneuve is a more able sailor than you are. Try as you might, you cannot prevent him from bringing the Lynx alongside the Dauntless. No! You will have to finish this with sword and pistol. Finally, the battle comes down to a boarding action. As the ships come alongside each other, the crews charge forward, screaming and waving their cutlasses. Oh, cutlass! I assume that's how they scream? It's not very scary. It's not the rebel battle cry. The fighting is bloody and vicious. As you rush onto the enemy quarterdeck, sword in hand, you come face to face with Villeneuve. He hesitates, surprised and upset to encounter you. His sword drifts out of the guard position. What do you do? Oh, damn it. I'm not going to just stab him. He's my friend. Let's see if I can disarm him. That's what we're going to try and do. The fight is intense, but you're a better fencer than Villeneuve ever was. After a few quick exchanges, you wound him on his sword hand. A quick twist of your wrist sends his blade skittering along the deck. Shittering. Villeneuve gives you a small bow as he surrenders. If I must lose my ship, at least you will benefit from it, Baker. I hope that was his voice. I forgot everybody's voices. I so apologize. Usually I have more with it. I just know. H.M.S. Dauntless is lightly damaged. When all is said and done, you've captured the Lynx. You sail back to Kingsport with the prize. The Admiral is most pleased and promotes Mr. Evans to commander as a sign of his regard. Size? Well, the Admiral was fat. Then you are assigned commerce raiding duties. By the time you receive orders to return to Albion, you have made a small fortune in prize money. Finally, you arrive back in England. Rule Britannia, Britannia rules the waves. You are hailed as the hero upon your arrival. The whole nation rejoiced over the report of your victory. The king himself requests your presence at court. The king calls you forward and commands you to kneel. I'm not giving him a blowjob. I am not giving him a royal blowjob. He strikes you on each shoulder with a sword and confers the title of Knight of the Most Honorable Order of Vigil upon you. Congratulations, Sir Dick Baker. And with that, your adventure comes to an end for now, Sir Richard. I think this is a good ending. With how badly I did, like, leading that ship early on, I thought we were going to have a terrible ending. As one of the few heroes of the Royal Navy, you are always in demand. Maybe I can finally get a lady. Whenever a choice assignment is available, your name comes up. And if you choose to, you could easily win election to Parliament or gain entry into the highest echelons of Albion society. As the years go by, you steadily climb up the naval list, like a ladder. As your seniority increases, you finally receive a promotion to Rear Admiral. Oh, he likes it in the rear. No, I don't. You receive an important command. You finally retire from the Royal Navy before promotion to the highest of ranks. You have barely enough money to buy an estate. How was I an admiral and I didn't have enough money with prize money? To live as a country gentleman on the relatively rare occasions when you are on half pay. Well, country gentleman means I sit on my fucking ass. Your success and heroism has not been matched with commensurate financial rewards. Still, with commands easy for you to secure, you live a comfortable life. As a national hero, Dick Baker, Sir Dick Baker, hero of the nation, a national hero with a very successful naval career, you are extremely eligible bachelor. You can easily make it an excellent marriage if you wish, whether you are pursuing an old flame or courting a new. Let's score with some ladies. This is, I think, our last one. Sir Dick Baker, here are all these stats. Made post captain at 33. And that is it. That was Choice of Broadsides, everybody. I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank, I don't remember if I mentioned you at the beginning or not, Marauder Shields. He suggested it. I had a lot of fun playing it. I'm a little worn out from all the reading, to say the very least. But that was awesome. And we survived somehow. I really thought we were going to get killed. Rule Britannia, I'm a hero of the Empire. America is the motherfucking best. Adios, everybody.